Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be talking about I Am Legend. I watched this last night, so I'm going to go straight on into my review. I remember when this came out in the cinemas in 2007, I think it was. I saw it with my sister and I remember sitting in the cinema and I actually found it quite frightening. And I've watched it many times since and I still really enjoy this film. No longer frightens me, obviously, because I know exactly what's going to happen because I've seen it so many times, but I just think this is actually a really good film that isn't talked about all that much. So like I said, it came out in 2007 and it's set in a post-apocalyptic world. This is a post-apocalyptic horror. And it centres around this man on the front cover who's called Robert, and he's played fantastically by Will Smith. And basically this virus has spread throughout New York, this is set in, and he is all on his own. You kind of think he's this like lone survivor, and he's basically trying to find a cure for this virus. Now the virus came into play because scientists believe they'd found a cure for cancer. And they found this, thought it was a fantastic cure. It was going to be like this whole revolution, this amazing thing that was going to just cure the world of disease. And it kind of turned out the opposite. It turns people into these very, very violent beings. They're not really even people anymore. They're just, it's kind of almost like how I describe a zombies kind of slash vampires, because they're not really zombies, they're not slow, they're very, very fast, very quick, very frightening, and they seem to go after people and attack them. They're just very violent beings, and they're very creepy looking. They've got like no hair, they're completely bald, they're really pale and skinny. And the reason why I say they're kind of like vampires is they seem to go after people and go after blood, and also they are they get hurt by sunlight, by UV rays. They can't go out in the sun. So this guy Robert's kind of like going about his business during the day, and then during the night he kind of locks himself in his house. He has like a safe house, and he's kind of like hiding away from them. And that's pretty much his existence. You see his day-to-day life. You kind of follow him through, his exercises, wandering around. You get a deep sense of loneliness from this man. He's got no one to talk to. You kind of see him interacting with dummies in shops and stuff, and it's kind of funny but also sad at the same time. His only companion is his German Shepherd down here, Sam. That's all he kind of has in his life at the moment, is this dog. It's just him and himself, very lonely. And yeah, he's basically trying to find a cure. And the reason why he appears to be the only person, you seem to get affected if you get harmed or bitten. I think it's also airborne, but Robert himself is immune, and he's trying to create a cure from his own blood. I'm not sure, you see flashbacks from his past, and he seems to be part of the military in some way. So whether he's like a military officer or he's some kind of professor, but he knows a lot about science, and you kind of see him experimenting with cures on rats and that kind of thing. Until one day, one of the rats, he seems to have had a positive effect with one of the serums he's using. So he decides to go to human trials. So during one of his outings, he finds a building which has a group of these creatures. I'm not exactly sure what they're called in this. But basically, yeah, these people who are infected by this virus, he finds a group of them and he captures this woman. Takes them back to the house and tries to start, experiments on them. Experimenting to see if this cure is going to work on her. And that's kind of like when all this just shit goes down, because that's when the other infected people find out where he lives, and just a whole lot of shit happens. And something else happens along the way. As I said, he thinks he's all alone, but it turns out he's not. He gets in contact with a couple of other survivors, and it's kind of like that's where the story kind of kicks off, and it's kind of what's going to happen. Are they going to survive? Are they not? Is it a cure? Is it not a cure? And that's when, you know, everything kind of starts to happen, and I won't say any more than that because I don't want to give away too much. But it's just a really good story. It's a great story and fantastic acting, especially from Will Smith. I thought he was really great in this. I like him in a lot of films, but I feel like this is one of his best. As I said, the creatures are really frightening. I will say they are CGI, and like back when I saw it in the cinema, I was like I said, I was quite frightened, and my sister was frightened as well. I thought it was fantastic, and I've seen it many times since. I still think they're scary, but obviously I don't get that feeling anymore because, you know, I know what's going to happen and what they look like and whatnot. And I will say the CGI is a little bit dated. Watching it now, I watched this last night, compared to when I first saw it, it is a little bit dated, the CGI, but it's not so bad that it kind of ruins the film. Like, you see, I remember seeing some films when I was a kid, and I thought they were fantastic and really frightening and scary, and then I watch them now and you can tell it's like green screen and CGI, and you're like, oh, what the hell, it just doesn't, you don't get that same effect. Whereas in this, you can tell it's CGI, but I still think it makes a good film. I think it's still definitely worth watching. And yeah, I think, you know, it raises a lot of questions, like what would it be like if you were on your own, completely isolated? How would you react? How would you deal with it? Would you go mad? Would you, you know, how would you do that on your own? And, you know, what would it be like in a post-apocalyptic world? I thought they did very well, the way they made the buildings look, and how the city actually looks completely abandoned with just him, and, you know, it's all kind of overgrown, and what it would be like, you know, if humanity did just kind of fall, and, you know, all these people were just getting infected. So yeah, it is scary in that sense as well. And yeah, I would just highly recommend, to be honest. I think it's a great kind of, I don't want to say zombie film because they're not zombies. But yeah, just like a post-apocalyptic kind of virus film. It's very good and definitely worth watching. I would happily rewatch this many times over, as I already have. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. If you have any questions, then please leave them down below. And yeah, thank you for watching. Until next time, bye guys.